Welcome to Renewed and Radiant Podcast. This is where we have the real and raw conversations. So if you're ready to rise into the woman you were created to be, you're in the right place. And together, we can design a life you love. Today, I am excited for today's guest. We have an amazing WBN member. She shared a bit of her story within our private Facebook community. And I was like, everybody needs to hear this. You need to come on my podcast and share this story, because I know that so many ladies are going to find hope and encouragement through her story and what she's went through and what she shared and where she's at now, which is amazing. So today I have with me Kelsey Johnson. She's 36 years old, born again believer, mama of 3, a pastor's wife, lifelong learner with her Bachelor of Nursing degree and special interest in health promotion and disease prevention. Yay. She enjoys spending time with family, physical activity, camping, cooking, nutrition, fashion, green tea, and birth. She has aspirations to start a midwifery care in our local community, which is amazing. Thank you so much for being here today, Kelsey. I am thrilled that you've decided to join me here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Elsa.
Yeah, this is going to be good. So, you know that I was like the real and the raw conversations. And so I would love to hear from you, just to have you share your story, what brought you to where you are today. And just take it away.
Sounds good. So, today I thought I would share a little bit on my self-awareness and emotional health journey, and really where it began for me, where I noticed it kind of needed to get exposed that I had low self-awareness and a low emotional EQ, like an ability to understand what was going on inside of me and know how to manage that in a healthy ways. So that first needed to get exposed. And the exposure for me was when I started having a family. So me and Josiah got married, and we both had our kind of careers. And I think I could use coping mechanisms by staying busy, just being focused on work and all these different things. But when I had my first daughter, I stopped working and I stayed home to start raising her. And that's when I started to see more of my emotional issues start coming out. I think I first had idealized motherhood and what that would look like and staying home. And as it went on, I found myself feeling trapped and resentful. And that kind of started bringing marital conflict. Just how I could go out, it felt like for me, he went out and he was still involved doing things that were important. And I was at home taking care of our little ones and kind of the mundane. I struggled to find a rhythm in it, and I found myself feeling alone and resentful. But I didn't know that that's really what I felt. So it came out in kind of negative behaviors, just an edginess in me and conflict between me and my husband. And so this was the catalyst that kind of pushed us to start digging deeper to what was going on underneath. And we really saw that the Lord led us to some content that was really revealing. It's called How We Love. I have it here.
Oh,
this is
awesome.
The workbook.
Okay. Who is that by, Kelsey?
Oh, yes. It's by Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
Okay. So when people are looking for that. Okay.
Yeah, and they've moved into retirement, and so there's a couple that took over, Mark and Amy Cameron, and they've just been excellent from the emails that I received from them and the content that they're continuing on with. But the Lord led us to this, and what it did is it exposed kind of the brain pattern that we had developed that started not in our marriage, but started in our childhood. And we started to see that what went on between us was actually a collision of these brain patterns and pathways and the ways that we had learned to deal with different emotions in ourselves. And those collided with each other. And so we started working through the content. I think one of the first things that needed to happen was the self-awareness of my behaviors when I felt different things. And I couldn't even label what I felt to start. So we had to get a feeling word list, and they call it soul word list because it's these the deep inside, what's going on inside your soul. And we put it on our fridge, and we had to look at that and identify what we felt inside and try to use those words as a starting point. And there's 4 steps in the comfort circle that they explain in this material. And the first is to seek awareness, and that's really key because you need to understand your emotions and the needs that are underneath the behavior.
Yes.
Your emotions are linked to your needs. And so if you don't understand what you're feeling inside, you don't know what you need.
So good.
And then the second step is to engage. So to choose to connect rather than withdraw or attack. And I was on the attack side.
So often we are, right? And that I love that it points that out. That's one of the things I love about this through our conversations before that you've just shared about some of this training and the work that you've done through it is that you're like, are you talking to me? Like, obviously they know what they're doing and because they recognize and they can pinpoint that so that when we don't see it in ourselves, doing something like that deep work actually brings it to the forefront. And it's like, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm feeling. I couldn't articulate it necessarily, but that's, how I'm feeling kind of thing. I love this. Tell us
Yeah,
more.
exactly. And so then step 3 is to explore. And this took each of these stages take growth skills. Like we had to grow. First we had to grow to seek awareness and know what was going on in ourselves. And then we needed to grow to engage with each other and be able to like go to one another and say, hey, I'm feeling this. I need to sit down and have you listen to me, or to choose to connect with one another. And then to be able to explore, there's 2 roles there. One person speaks and one person listens. And I learned that I was a very poor listener. And both speaking and listening roles have like active steps that sound simple, but aren't really easy if you never learned how to do them. Things like the listener needs to inquire and ask good questions, to repeat back what they're hearing, and to ask for clarification about those things. Instead of like, sometimes if somebody shares something and you start feeling defensive about what they're sharing, or if you were a part of what they were feeling, then your defense comes up and you roll your eyes or sigh, and so you have to practice actually listening and engaging with a person and having empathy and compassion to want to understand. And those are things that you have to practice to grow and learn how to do. And I didn't know how to do those things. And so
I feel
and
like
then
a lot of us don't,
Mhm.
and even if we do somewhat, yeah, we can always improve and grow in
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
I
So
think yeah, very true. We all have area to grow in this, and I'm still growing in it. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning how to do this and grow. And then and then being a speaker, speaking without blaming, speaking without attacking. And that's where using the feeling word list helps, because you're saying, this is just what I feel, insecure. I'm feeling exhausted, or I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling shameful, vulnerable feelings. And that was another area for me. I saw that my most prevalent feeling was anger. That was that's what I would feel like right away. And really, it was a cover for all my vulnerable feelings. So when I feel anger now, that's a sign for me that I need to look at the feeling word list and I need to find what's underneath my anger, because anger is a cover emotion. It's powerful and it covers up vulnerable things. Often when your vulnerable feelings weren't met with comfort and care in your life, then anger becomes protective, because it hurts a lot to share something vulnerable and not have that met with care. So learning how to be a listener and a speaker, that was a whole nother journey. And then the last step is resolve. And that's offering comfort, apologizing, or showing a willingness to resolve. And those are the 4 steps. So seek awareness, engage, explore, and resolve. And that's what we started journeying through doing together. Yeah.
I love it. This is so good. And you know, what a great thing to start. You started younger in your marriage, and you know, when you're nothing like children, nothing like marriage and children to like show us what's really inside of us, right? And to bring it
Mm-hmm.
out, not necessarily always in the best ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. But I love that you guys, you and Josiah, your husband, you chose to work on that and not just say, oh, this is the way it is or stuff it down, but you actually took the time and the effort to work on that, which is incredible. And now I think that people can be listening to this, especially ladies can be listening to this and think, well, you know, at my age, it's too late, or I've been married for 30 some years and, you know, it's not going to work. But it's never too late. It's
It's
never
never
too
too late.
late. Yeah. And we can always improve ourselves. And even if it's just a refresher, even if your marriage is amazing and you don't have
Mm-hmm.
any of this stuff, you've already worked through it. You know, I just feel like even if it's just a refresher, it's always good to together be working on something like that in your relationship. And we can always learn new things and always improve. So I do want to say that, you know, if you're listening to this and think, you know, it's too late for me or any of that stuff. It's not. It's not. And who knows what this can reignite in your marriage, and not just marriage. These things, these are principles that apply to every area of our lives. And when we have these skills and learn these different things, it applies to those that we can use it with those that we work with or, you know,
Totally. Yeah.
in our family, anything like that.
I think that's something that we hugely saw. It started affecting every relationship that we have. But the primary place where we grew was together. But our capacity for other people's emotions and states of being and even their behavior, sometimes we'll recognize, well, that behavior is probably because they're feeling something inside and they don't know how to express that healthily. And we recognize that because we saw it in ourselves and had to journey through it. But
Yeah.
it started to affect the way we responded to others around us and kind of gave us the skill and the tool base that we worked together. We worked really hard for it. And I love what they say in here. So they talk through the different attachments. It's all attachment based research. There's 5 unhealthy attachments and
Mm,
there's one healthy attachment. And it's called being a secure connector. And
mm.
so we are earning security. We're becoming more secure, but we're earning it. We're working for it. And then I also love it because it's something that we it's helped us in our parenting to grow, wanting to help give that to our children, a secure base. And we're not perfect at that either, but we're growing and we're trying to work on that. And I guess that excites me too because I think where ceiling is where our children's floor will be to walk on. And yeah,
I love
so
that. Love that. Where our ceiling is, that's our children's floor to walk on. That is amazing. That's a good quote right there. Yes. And the thing is as that how when we heal, then like you said, we can pass that on to our children, our grandchildren, so that hopefully, you know, we're helping them a bit more so that they maybe don't have to deal so much with things that we did and that we're bringing more of a healed version to them. And you know, we only do what we know and we can only do our best with what we know, but as we know better, then we can do better. And so
mhm,
as parents and grandparents, then we can pass that on to our children and help them so that they do have more of the tools that they need, and we can recognize, and not in a negative way against our families or anything like that. Like I said, they
mhm,
everybody's just doing their best. But
mhm.
when we know what we can do and we can bring that and hopefully help them so that they're starting off from a better place even right from the beginning.
Definitely. And something you said there, I wanted to touch on. I think we look back to acknowledge and recognize where hurt came in or where lies entered our heart or our life. We can't understand ourselves now unless we look back at
Mm.
what's helped us become that or how we became that way. So we look back to acknowledge so we can move forward, not to blame. And I think that
Yes.
was pretty huge for me too. That was also a bit of a journey of how that looked because I think when I first started to see where some of my hurts came in, I felt angry and I felt upset at the people who unknowingly hurt me. And
Right.
then there was forgiveness that I needed to work through with that, and a letting go. And also really recognizing, yeah, everyone did their best with where they were at. And also, those were the tools they were handed down. So this is generational. We're breaking off generational bondage. And
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
just like feel very excited when you see that in those lights. Like these are kind of generational ways of being and patterns that have been in our family line, and it stops here. It
Yes.
stops. We're gonna stop that, and we're gonna
Amen.
work through that. Yeah, and so I love that.
Yes, I love that too. That is huge. I love that. You can be the one that stops it. This does not need to continue on. We can be the ones that stop
Hmm.
it. Like how amazing that, I mean, how amazing that you look at, you found this, you did the research, you did the work on yourself, you're still doing the work on yourself, but now you're sharing it with other people. And like this is, I just feel like it has such a ripple effect. Even just the people here that are going to listen to it, this can change generations because we can be the one to stop passing on the negative and actually be the ones that are going to stop those generational curses, generational bondage, whatever you want to call it, just generational patterns, even. And literally life changing things. This is life changing and it can change generations. Love this.
Hmm.
Love this. This is so good.
Yeah. In the Psalms, I can't remember the exact psalm it is, but it talks about show me if there's any offensive way in me and lead me into the way everlasting. And I learned this and I really love this, that original word offensive way in me is from the Hebrew. The Hebrew for that is way of pain. See if there's any
Oh,
way of pain in me and lead me in the way everlasting. And I think the ways that we were pain, the original pain that entered us, is the way we start to pain, where we kind of develop this unhealthy way of being, where we start being hurtful and paining others. And so there needs to be a healing of that pain, that original pain, and that leading me on a new pathway, an everlasting pathway. And I feel like that was really like mind blowing for me to connect that. I was like, oh, it was so true. The ways that I was pained and hurt became the ways that I started to pain and hurt others around me. That's what developed these like negative, the anger that came out in lashing out, that came out in pouting, that came out in, giving a cold shoulder, or those, instead of engaging and saying, hey, I'm hurting inside right now and I need you, I want to draw close. So yeah, I just
love
thought of
that.
that there.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I did not know that. So that's, I'm definitely going to look up that scripture. That's great. So good. And it's true. We can't in anything and at any point, we can never give what we don't have. And we always do give what we do have. So if we're
Hmm.
carrying around that hurt, rejection, whatever it is, inside of us, that is just naturally going to pass on to others. So if we can heal and go through the journey of that, then that's what we're going to pass on. I mean, and I'm sure everyone listening to this wants to pass on the good, the positive, not the negative, not the hurt. So when we can do that journey of healing, then that's what we're able to pass on. And how amazing is that? So good. Awesome. Anything else?
Oh, I guess I do have, I had a story about shame. So shame was also a really underlying emotion in me, but I never recognized shame or anxiety in myself until I started working through this content, because those were kind of, um, you know, anxiety was a not appropriate emotion. Like I shouldn't be anxious because I'm a Christian. So I shouldn't ever feel that. And if I did, I think I felt shameful. So I just had to cover that all up. Instead of recognizing we all feel a realm of emotions, and emotions aren't bad. It's not bad to feel something, but what we do with our emotions can be sinful or it can be hurtful. And so how do I deal with what I feel inside? And
Yes,
yeah, I love even,
want to touch on that before you
yeah.
carry on
Hmm.
is that I just don't want us to miss that what you shared there is that the emotions aren't bad. It's how we're created. God's the one that made us. He created us with these emotions, but it's what we choose to do with them. And I often say you can't choose the first thought all the time necessarily, but you can choose the second one and the next ones and the next ones and the actions that you choose from those thoughts. Thank you for pointing that out, because there's no shame attached to that unless we choose to attach shame to it.
Yeah, and I was thinking, when I look at Jesus's life, he felt a realm of emotions. He wept. He had anxiety when he was in the garden to the point that he sweat blood. He was angry and flipped tables. He Jesus felt all these emotions. And I think that's important, especially in Christian circles, because sometimes the Christian circles want to poo-poo or stuff emotions and just be like, well, you shouldn't feel that, or slap a verse on it or something like that. Instead of and I think the verses are true, like, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, present your request to God. But I think for me, when I read how I interpreted that, my lens for that at first was like, I shouldn't feel anxious, but I feel anxious, therefore I'm not an appropriate Christian, or I'm far from God, instead of being like, okay, I feel anxious though. So what do I do with this? And bringing that open and before God and being able to deal. I think God actually wants us to deal with that and heal that and bring us back to a place of relief and comfort in what's true. And so, and then my little story there about shame. So I would, especially when we started doing this content, and when I saw what my brain pattern was, I hated it. I was just like, I felt so much shame, I think, about which brain pattern I had because of the anger. And I didn't want to be these ways. And when I saw the list of kind of the ways I behave when I feel that way, it made me really panicky. And I was like, I need to be better. I have to change this. We have to grow, Josiah. We have to change it now. And so whenever I would read content that would kind of expose my weaknesses and my weak side, I would start panicking and try to work harder, try to be better. I would kind of control everybody, control everything around me, be hyper vigilantly, pointing everything out. And I was worse in my pattern and behavior. And so that was kind of a part of my journey and my awareness. And I remember being at a pastor spouse retreat, and I was reading this book called Triggers. And in the kind of opening section, it talked about, how anger and these things are really hurtful to the children and these patterns. And as I was reading that and knowing that those were things I was struggling with and my weak areas, I felt this flood just wash over me. And it was a very familiar feeling to me. And then I started to feel that internal panic. And I was like, I need to read this whole book and I need to be better. And then all of a sudden, I had a moment where the Holy Spirit spoke to me internally, and it dawned on me for the very first time. I was 33 years old. I feel shame right now. This is what shame feels like in me. That flooding feeling I get, the kind of well up inside of me, and the panic and the need to I have to change, I have to be better. And then the next thing I heard was the Holy Spirit spoke inside of me and said, "You're not going to do it, Kelsey, but I am." And that just freed me. I was like, okay, I'm not going to read this whole book overnight. I'm going to slowly read it. I'm going to glean what I can, and I'm going to let Jesus do work in me and change me. I can't make myself be better. And since then, since I identified what shame felt like in me, now I know. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling shame right now. And then what do I need when I feel shame? This is a step I've learned. So what I need when I feel shame is I need to go to someone safe, who's usually my husband, because he's who I've worked through this with, and tell him, I'm feeling shameful for this is what brought that out. This was the event that happened today. And I need you to tell me something good about me, because all I see about myself right now is bad. I kind of all bad thinking, everything's bad. Everything about me is bad. It's I get this all bad lens. And that when he tells me things that he sees in me that are good and calls that out, It helps. That's what like brings me comfort and kind of like helps me be like, okay, that's not who I am. So anyways, that's a little example of like understanding what you feel and then learning about what you need and how to, ask for help or
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being so real and vulnerable and sharing that with us. And I think too, if somebody is interested in going through that book and that training, or anytime often when we're working through things, working to improve ourselves, whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, there's an uncomfortable
mm,
process you need to go through. And I feel like that's why so many people stay stuck and stay stuffing because it can be uncomfortable. But how amazing when we go through the uncomfortable and
mm,
actually enjoy the transformation then, which is way, 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 way better than, the suffering if we did
mm-hmm.
the uncomfortable steps. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Elsa. Kay and Mylan say it this way, and I love it. They say both are painful. Continuing on in your unhealthy patterns and behaviors, they're painful. Growing is painful, but one is productive. Which one
Ah,
do you choose?
that's perfect. I love that. Yeah, awesome. So good. Oh, this is amazing. I mean, so many takeaways. I would say, if somebody's interested in this kind of thing, it sounds incredible. I know I'm ordering it for us. It's gonna be. I'm excited to go through it for sure. So if somebody's interested, you shared the resource, which is incredible. Also, recognizing that it's a journey that you're on. I feel like many women that listen to this or that are in our program are high achievers
Mm,
because we attract those that we're like, right? And as a high achiever, like you mentioned, it's like, I got to fix, what can I do? I got to do it right now. I got to fix everything right now. Why is that? Let's look at what's causing that. What's the root cause of that and what needs to be healed so that don't keep dealing. So recognizing that, what are the triggers and where are these triggers stemming from is something to pay attention. I try to often ask myself, why do you feel this way, or why are these thoughts coming up all of a sudden, and be just becoming aware of that, because sometimes I think we can almost just sleepwalk through life where we just kind of keep dealing with stuff, whereas if we take the time to step back and ask, why am I feeling this way, what needs to be healed here.
mhm,
And then I think too, also reminding yourself that it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. There's going to be times, anytime we're trying to grow and improve, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but there's a purpose behind it, which I love that way of saying it. That's excellent.
Yeah. And
So,
it's a slow journey. Like this is deep stuff and it's not overnight. And I think that's where I struggled. I was like, I want to be better now. I can't keep being like this. And it was like that. Yeah. So I guess my prayer for anyone listening and moving forward with it would be that God would speak to you too about that He will do the work. And if you earnestly are seeking and taking steps, it's inch by inch growth. But over time, you see it, especially looking back.
yes, yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Exactly. And recognizing that, yeah, we get in a hurry. God's never in a hurry. His timing is perfect. It's always us. And also knowing that I can't do it on my own. I love how you felt the Holy Spirit speak that to you. Again, as high achievers, we think that it's all on us. We got to be the ones to do it. And God's like, hang on here. Actually, you and I are going to do it together, or else it's not going to work. Because if the Lord doesn't build the house, it doesn't work, right? So, I really appreciate that too, and that you shared that revelation and how you felt that from the Holy Spirit, because we all need to be reminded of that so often. Me especially. So, yeah, awesome. I love this. Okay, Kelsey, I have some rapid fire questions for you just for fun. But before
Okay.
we get to that, what is something you would say? I really feel like this is going to be amazing. And this is going to speak to a lot of people, this podcast. So when someone is listening to this and they're like, yeah, that's great, but what can I do right now? What is a practical step that you would say to someone listening to this that you could do right now to start moving towards the goals that you want to achieve?
Well, I would say one of the first steps I had to take to develop self awareness was printing off that soul word feeling list, having a comprehensive list of feeling words. And you could find it even on their website. Like they have a website too, and it's got free content, free print offs as well. But yeah, and there's categories: anxious, overwhelmed, angry, sad, there's joyful. They're like a big category list, but with sub words too. But printing one of those off and putting it on your fridge, and then once a day looking at that list and thinking about an event in your day and picking 3 words from 3 different categories to identify what you feel about that event, and then maybe sharing that with your spouse or a safe friend. That would be a first step to be able to label what you feel. And a brave step of self-awareness, I think, is to ask someone close to you, and this is a difficult one, but what if they were to change something about you, what would that be? Like some
What?
type of negative. And that's from this content, and that's something I've had to do. And that's a pretty brave, big thing because, yeah, your defense can come out there. But if you want to start seeing yourself clearly and the way that you bring hurt to others, that's a big step.
Love it. I love that so much. That is hard and scary, terrifying, not just scary, terrifying.
That
But
is, yeah.
amazing though. Just think of the healing and growth when you go into it with the right attitude, and when you get to the point where you're brave enough to ask and know that it's probably going to hurt. There's
Mhm.
going to be some things that don't feel great about that, but also reminding yourself nobody's perfect, and we're not even supposed to be perfect. We're human, so it's okay. Everybody in the world has something that someone doesn't, like about them, or that they're not amazing at. So recognizing that when someone is, because it's going to take bravery for them to share the truth too,
Mhm.
receive it as a loving thing, receive it as love and compassionate, that they care enough to actually tell you the truth, and make sure you're open to receiving that, and in a place where you feel safe and ready to receive that too. And I
Mhm.
feel like, I'm not sure with the training how they do it, but I mean, it could be in the form of written or a letter or a note or something too. If you feel like it's too intense to actually verbally say it, I think that that's also another way to ease it a little bit, and then
Mhm.
asking them to clarify if you feel like you need clarity on that. But that's incredible. Okay, that's a big step. So 2 steps. One is quite a bit easier. The other one is a big step, but how amazing and what an incredible step towards that journey. Powerful. This is powerful. I love it. Awesome. Okay, Kelsey, before we do the rapid fire questions, I just want to touch on your journey with Whole By Nutrition. It's been awesome having you here in our program, of course. And I want to just hear from you. Just give a little tidbit of your journey. What brought you into the program? And what's been your experience so far?
Yeah. So I shared this a little bit before at that other group where I shared, but another piece for me of my self-awareness was recognizing that I wasn't doing self-care, and that was a part of my resentment. So I needed self-care because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just staying in this mom loop and taking care of everybody else, and my needs weren't being met. And in that process, I felt like I lost myself and I didn't even know what I liked or what to do with myself. So, kind of fast forwarding, starting the program, I wanted to be a part of a program and had expressed that to my husband, like, oh, I'd like to be a part of one of Elsa's programs. I think that would be really good. And kind of always talked myself out of it, like, I like health and all the things, and I told myself I know what to do. I shouldn't need to spend money, or I shouldn't need to do this. I just need to get more motivated. And I was in a slump with not being able to get out of bed and exercise. I couldn't create a rhythm that I wanted to do, and I needed accountability, and I needed a community, and I needed a little bit of a push and kind of a little fire to get me going. And you had a promotion on, and my husband saw it and encouraged me to do it. And yeah, so I decided to join the program as self-care and for my mental health and my well-being, and I love it. I love being a part of it. It's been really positive for me, and I think it's helped me to, I think you call them your non-negotiables. It's helped me redefine those and bring clarity to them. Like, what are my non-negotiables that are really important to me. And it's also created a space for me in the morning when I wake up to exercise. I get up a bit before and have time to read my Bible and pray. And I've realized those are non-negotiable. Like, I really need to be doing that because I've experienced the benefit of how much that's like been positive and good for me. And I always kind of like dreamed about waking up and doing that. And I had young babies for many years, was breastfeeding in the night. And so now it's like a time that it's possible for me. And I'm excited because it's like helped me like fulfill that kind of dream that I had of wanting to do that. Am I answering the question there, Elsa? Is that?
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
good.
So it's
Love
yeah, it's helped
that.
me get clear on what my non-negotiables are and provided me with community, accountability, and just the support and a rhythm. Like I'm in a good it got me into a good rhythm with everything and feeling good. So that the feeling good part is the motivation. It's like I want to feel good. I want this to continue.
Yes. And you look amazing. I mean, so many changes emotionally, mindset, but physically, you look amazing. And you got into your gold dress already. So you're doing
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks,
Yes.
Elsa. Yeah, I feel really good.
That's good. And yeah, you look fantastic. So that's nice too. All the things together.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and you're just such an incredible positive part of our community, and that's, obviously we work really hard to protect that and to keep it as an uplifting, judgment-free, amazing place for ladies like yourself that, we can all journey together so we don't have to try and do this on our own, and we have the accountability and the support. Yeah, awesome. All right. Okay. One more question, I guess, in regards to that. I always like to ask, what is the biggest change that you noticed since joining the program that you weren't expecting when you came in?
Oh, well, I was having bladder inflammation and I was not expecting that to resolve. I didn't really realize. I thought I didn't know what was going on, but I was having so much suprapubic pressure, pelvic pressure, felt like I had UTI symptoms and I'd get flare-ups of it where it'd be worse. And since joining the program, that's resolved. So that was like a huge physical like transformation that I wasn't expecting. I thought it had to do with a prolapse from one of my babies, but no, it was inflammation in my body. So,
Amazing. I'm so glad. I'm so glad we were able to clear that up, and
me too. Very grateful. Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay. All right, Kelsey, let's do some rapid fire questions to help everybody get to know you a little bit
Yep.
better. All right. Favorite healthy food.
I love avocado.
Mm,
And I feel like I have to say why. I love it on I love it on hamburgers. I love it on um, eggs. I love it like a guacamole, like a dip or a veggie dip. And I feel like it's a very versatile food that kind of like blends in, but brings a creamy texture. You can put it in smoothies. And this is why I love it the most. It was it was my baby's first food because you could always carry an avocado and kind of moosh it up. And it's really high in fat, so it was good for their brains. And I love that I started them on whole foods instead of like a pablum or something. And
okay.
so I really love avocado for those reasons. It's
That's
like
so
something I
cool.
buy every week. We eat it every week. It's always on my grocery list.
That's amazing. And what a cool memory attached to it. I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Well, I have to say Crete. I just recently was in Greece at Crete and it was incredible. I had such a beautiful time there and just the Mediterranean Sea was unexplainable. The temperature of it, how crystal clear it was. Yeah, so I'll
Awesome.
say Crete.
Okay, I love that. All right. What is something that may surprise us to know about you?
Okay, so this is one that brings a level of shame for me, but I'm going to share it because I'm breaking through shame.
Okay.
So I can roll a mean doobie. When I was in my younger years, I was a closet marijuana smoker. And that's a whole different podcast I could share about there. But the quick is that I didn't realize I had anxiety, and marijuana covered my anxiety and shut off the part of my brain that I felt anxiety. And so I was very closet. But people are usually very shocked to find that out about me, that that's in my history.
Yes, nobody would ever guess that. I love this. This is so fun. This is just the best. I love these conversations. This is awesome. Okay, Kelsey, I feel like probably people listening to this may, want to reach out to you and just ask for maybe they related to something that you shared, or maybe they're feeling shame. I know that you shared that you'd be open to answering if anybody had a question or some way that you could share resources with them. So, what is the
Yeah.
best way for someone to contact you?
Well, I'll give my email because I don't have a huge social media presence.
Very
Um,
wise.
that is a bit of my history too. That was because I had very unhealthy patterns with that, my origins. And so maybe in a reaction, I've really minimized it, but I also really believe that social media can be an amazing avenue for things. So I'm not against it. I just want to say that. But just for myself and where I'm at in my journey. But my email is krame856@gmail.com. And I would so welcome anything that you would want to share with me or ask me, or even if you were to start this journey and feeling stuck. Me and my husband got stuck a few times working through this material. We derailed and we struggled to know how to do the comfort circle. And so I would have really good tips or suggestions on how to help keep you on track with it from our own experience with it. And yeah, or even if you just want to talk or share anything, I'm open. So I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you so much for that. I know that will help a lot. Thank you for this. This has been incredible. I knew it would be because you are an amazing lady and just such a blessing. So thank you so much for everything you shared today. And for those that are listening, I mean, if this has resonated with you or you know people that could use this, please share this episode with them. Because you know what? We can be the ones to stop the generational cycle, to stop passing on the hurt. We can actually be the one to bring the heat, to do the work, the uncomfortable work, do the healing, and then be able to pass on much better patterns and healing to those that we love, because we don't want them to stay stuck or be worse than what we were either. So thank you for today, Kelsey, and thank you to everyone that has watched and listened. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Elsa.
Thank you for tuning in today. If this episode spoke to you even in the smallest way, would you do me a quick favor? Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Leave a like or a review because it truly helps the message reach more women who need it. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, share this episode with her. You never know. Your share might be the spark that changes her entire season. I'm grateful you're here, walking this journey of renewal and radiance with me. And until next time, keep choosing to design a life you love.